Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed Ashraf. I am biology passionist and I draw diagrams, write topics and do some microscope examinations on my blog down here. If you could pay a visit one day and tell me your opinion, I would be happy to hear it. Today's topic is going to be about overview of plant cells, structure and function, part 1. So now let's get to the job. Table of contents today will be a very glance about plant cells definition, what differs plant cell from animal cell, structure of cell wall, middle, which is the middle lamella, primary wall, secondary wall, bits and their types. So it was firstly used by the term cell was first used by the English botanist Robert Hooke to examine these comb-like structure in cork under the microscope. They were like this hexagon shape, in case if it wasn't really clear. So now let's move on. What could be this thing held as a suspect in front of you? See how strong it looks like. These like weird like extensions coming out of it. What could that be? These things. Well, these things is what define a plant cell. These things are very crucial and the main components in a plant cell. These are microscope examinations I did. I stained them by iodine, which was the only stain I had at that time. This is a specimen from the epidermal layer of an onion. See how these things look like? They are like arranged, right? And this thing in the middle is the nucleus, which is found in every eukaryotic organism. This is a high magnification power specimen, and these are the same but with a lower one, showing it more clearly, and it defines how it literally look like strong as this one tells us. So let's go. This is a plant cell. These things, well, these are the things that gives a plant cell its a very strong structure, which we were talking about in the previous slides. This is the cell wall of a plant. The cell wall of a plant has compounds, polysaccharides, that makes it strong. We have cellulose, which its monomer is D-glucose connected in a beta 1,4 linkage. We have hemicellulose and lignin. These three compounds makes the cell wall of a plant, and it provides a plant its rigid structure like. And this thing is what differentiates a plant cell from an animal cell. Not only this one, but we have a central vacuole, which is very big in a plant cell, also contributes in the shape of a plant cell and its rigidity due to its large size. It functions usually to store enzymes, removes waste products. Now the last organelle, which is the most important one, and we will do a whole topic about it very soon, the chloroplast. The chloroplast, which is two words in one word, consists of a chloro and a plasts. Plast comes from plastids, which is different has a lot of types. We have chloroplasts, leucoplasts, and the chromoplasts. I will do a specific episode for each of these, but let's focus on this one, chloroplast, which contains the pigment, and the famous pigment chlorophyll, which gives plants, usually most plants, their green color. This structure like here, which is not mine, discuss the structure of a chlorophyll. It's 4 peroxide rings connected with a magnesium ion, in comparison with our hemoglobin, which has an iron in the middle. So these three components over here, the cell wall, central vacuole, and the chloroplast, is what define a plant cell from an animal cell. Animal cells usually have very small vacuoles. Sometimes they do not have. They lack a cell wall, and they don't have also a chloroplast. Also, animal cells have lysosomes, which are small organelles that digest anything. Now let's move to the cell wall. The cell wall consists of middle lamella, primary wall, and secondary wall. The middle lamella is the first layer formed during cell division. It makes the outer wall of cell and is shared by adjacent cells. See, this is plant cell number 1, this is plant cell number 2. They only have one middle lamella in them and not two. So yeah, it is shared by both, and it's composed of peptide compounds and proteins. Now to the primary wall. The primary wall is formed after the middle lamella. Look at this drawn or colored one. Here is the primary wall of cell walls. Consists of a rigid skeleton of cellulose microfibrils embedded in a gel-like matrix composed of peptide compounds, hemicellulose and glycoproteins. So let's say they are like that, the cellulose microfibrils, tubes like that connected to each other, found like that. Making up the primary wall, and they are like swimming in peptide compounds, hemicellulose and the glycoproteins. They also have thinner areas known as primary pit fields or pit fields. These pit fields contains small openings in the wall through which cytoplasmic extensions known as plasmodesma, singular word is plural is plasmodesmata, extending between cells. See this thing, this hole? This is the plasmodesma through which a cell-to-cell communication happens, or like transporting proteins from a cell to cell. Also, it can transport the proteins within the cell, which we will know how or what structure does this thing. So the plasmodesmata is responsible for the communication between each cell. And why do we say a plural? Why did we make a plural word for this? Because a plant cell has more than one plasmodesma. See these holes? These are a lot of plasmodesma. Called as a plural we say plasmodesmata. Now let's move on to the secondary cell wall, which makes up the cell wall of a plant, and by far the third thing that makes up a cell wall. Well, the secondary cell wall formed after the primary cell wall, obviously, and they are composed of 3 layers. See, it is the thickest one. Here, the thickest one of them. So it's composed of 3 layers, each of which has cellulose, lignin, and hemicellulose. So it provides more rigidity to plants. That's why the bark of a tree is very strong and you cannot break it by hand, in comparison to small plants and things like that. You can just, if you bend them with a specific degree, apply pressure on both sides with your fingers, you can break them or break the stem. So secondary cell walls are extremely rigid and provides a compression strength. Again, made of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. The cell doesn't, this note is very important, the cell doesn't lay the secondary wall over the primary wall pit fields, or otherwise communication will not happen between each plant cell. Therefore they create perforations in secondary cell wall called pits, which will be the last point in our topic. We have 2 types of pits, simple pits and the bordered pits. Let's talk about simple pits briefly, which is in this diagram. See this tiny thing over here? It allows or allows a transportation of materials within a cell. They are like that if you magnify it. And this is the middle lamella. And this is the components of the cell wall. So proteins go through this way, and any other materials need to be transported, perhaps to regenerate a part, torn apart in the cell wall. Now to the bordered bits. We have this one which looks like as if you're looking at it from looking down at the pit. This is the components of cell wall. This is a plant cell. This side over here is a plant cell, and this side is a plant cell, and these are their components. Communication happens this way, so proteins go from here to here or from here to here. This one, which is more clearer, discuss it as if you are looking at it from a side view. So the overarching or bending of such secondary wall, this is a secondary wall. Oh, I'm sorry, this one. Let me erase all of these two. So this is the primary cell wall, secondary cell wall, and in the middle is the middle lamella. So the bending of such structure of secondary cell wall from both plant cells, or the overarching of such thing, creates what is called a pit border. Pit border. These are the borders of a pit. Here, a pit border. So, and these pit borders opens to the outside by a small rounded mouth or hole known as a pit aperture. This one, see it here, this one, through which any materials that needed to be transported from a plant cell to the other goes through it. So if we have two bordered pits in front of each other, we have something called bordered pit pairs. If a simple pit, then we have a simple pit pairs. There is a blind pit, which is a pit facing no complementary pit in front of it, and there is a half bordered pit pair, by which a bordered pit is in front of a simple pit. It gives something called half bordered pit pair. This diagram discusses it in a way that explains how they look like from a plant cell. This is a view where this is only plant here. This is a plant cell, and the other one is from the other side. This one says it more, as if you took this and turned it 90 degrees to the left side, it gives you this figure, figure C. Here is a plant cell, and here is another plant cell. There are types of bordered pits in this structure. These three structures, we have the scalary form, opposite form, and the alternate form. There, how they communicate to each other. Here, opposite to each other, and here alternate to each other. So now we have ended our topic today. I really hope you guys have understood anything, or at least one word from today's topic, and thank you.